What's going on, everyone? Real Red Politics here. Welcome back to another video on my channel. Before I do get into today's video, if you could leave a like, comment, and subscribe, that would mean a lot. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when new videos are uploaded. I know I haven't been uploading a lot lately, but I've been in the process of moving, and so now that I am situated, I should be able to consistently get videos out again. And so today I'm going to be talking about the 2024 primaries that are coming up for the GOP, and I'm going to be talking about kind of who do I think is going to who the front runner is, who do I think is going to become the candidate for the general election in 2024. And I'm sure most of you know what I think at this point, but I'm going to kind of talk about who's in the race, and we're going to talk about a couple states that are pretty that are big states in terms of these primaries, which are going to be the states of Iowa and South Carolina, and we're going to analyze some of the data. And so first of all, let's start off with kind of who is the front runner right now. I'm sure all of us know, but if you're not sure who the front runner is, or you haven't really been keeping up, Donald Trump is the front runner. I mean, you can see that if you looked at the polls after his first indictment and then after his second indictment, he got a big boost in, I guess, polling, so to speak. And you can kind of see where they're at. So you can see Trump's kind of, through April and May, he started gradually increasing. And he started increasing more and more in terms of his polling when it, especially in the month of June. And you see a little spike here between June and July. And then now they're kind of, steady. And now I'm sure most of you know who at this point know who I want to be the candidate in the general election, which would be Donald Trump. I believe he is a better candidate than DeSantis. Trump has, I think now that he's kind of, he's really been able to kind of focus on what it is he wants to get done, and his message that he's been putting out voters, hey, this is what I'm going to do if you elect me. Everything's been very professional. It's been very good. I still think we're going to have we're going to have a 2016 Trump in the primary stage. But I think for debates and stuff in the general election, I think he's gonna be really professional. I think he's gonna do great in those debates. DeSantis, in my opinion, doesn't have the charisma that Trump has. I enjoy listening to Trump's speeches. Sure, a lot of the speeches talk about very similar stuff, but he still gives energy. He brings excitement. DeSantis doesn't really, in my opinion. I know there are a lot of people that like DeSantis. I don't like DeSantis. He's a great governor of Florida. But something that he needs to keep in mind is that, yes, Florida is in a good position because of him. However, people from other states don't live in Florida, and so they're not going to care so much about what Florida's doing. Like, people in Washington and Oregon aren't going to care about what Florida's doing. They're completely different sides of the country, completely different people. So you can't just focus on Florida because not everyone is a Floridian. Not everyone, you're going to have to win people from both sides of the aisle if you actually want a chance at making it to the general election and actually beating Trump. But at this point, that's not going to happen because if you're just focusing, hey, Florida's a good state, vote for me, that's not going to work. Because that's not what people are looking for. People are looking for, okay, you put Florida in a good state, but what are you going to do for the country? That's what Trump is focusing on. Trump says, I've done this, this, and this. DeSantis has done this, this, and this. If you look at DeSantis' voting record when he was a state representative, it's not really the best. Obviously not the worst, but it's definitely not the best. And Trump has made that apparent in many, I'm not going to say many because you can't really quantify many, but in some of his ads that he's put out, he has talked about this stuff. And so, enough of that rant, so let's kind of talk about what do we have going on here. We got DeSantis sitting at about 21.3% as the last poll was taken, which was about June 22nd, which is, at this time of recording, was yesterday. So if for some reason the polls the data just swaps, then of course I'm going to make a video on that. So you have other candidates. You got Chris Christie, of course, why he's in the race, I don't know. Mike Pence, you got Nikki Haley. You got all these candidates that are just kind of there. You have Vivek Ramaswamy, which I don't know a lot about him, but I've seen a couple clips here and there from like some town halls he's done, and he doesn't have bad takes. I just don't think it's going to be like the Andrew Yang of the Republican Party, if I had to guess. Asa Hutchinson, who is terrible, and as far as I'm aware, I don't think we have really any other candidates. Now, if you want to look down at the data we have here, this is focusing on Trump and DeSantis, kind of. I mean, it's not even close. All except two of these polls. Actually, I was gonna say all except two of these polls, Trump is up, but in two of the polls, it's not even Trump on the in the polling section. It's Pence. But you look at all of these polls, some which are recent. You got like June 19th to 20th. I mean, all the way back to the the mid portion of June. The most recent poll has Trump up 38 points, 20 points, 24 points, etc., etc., etc. This trend is continuing to go on and on and on like this. You think DeSantis would maybe actually help Trump, because if we were to have a united party, the GOP would be able to get so much more done. But because they are so divided, it can't be another situation that like what happened with Teddy Roosevelt. You don't want to split the party, because if you split the party, you're gonna give the Democrat nominee the White House. And so this is some polling. We're gonna take a look at polling that gives us more raw numbers, so to speak. And I guess they're kind of the same. But when you look at all the polling, here you can kind of see who's up. And every single poll, Trump is up. Every single poll. You got Real Clear Politics 52.2% versus DeSantis is 21.4%. And all the numbers are roughly the same. Okay. You guys are probably wondering, why are you not talking about like Tim Scott or Larry Elder? The reason I'm not talking about these candidates is because, considering the lead that Donald Trump and DeSantis have right now, those candidates are gonna drop out probably like after the first debate. So I'm not like I have no reason to talk about them. Yeah, I'll maybe talk about them like a little bit, like Nikki Haley when it comes to South Carolina, because I want to point some stuff out there. But when it comes to actual like the bigger picture here, they don't have a chance against these other two candidates. Let alone DeSantis doesn't have a chance against Trump. Trump is probably gonna win. And I'm fully confident that that's the case. And so let's take a look at two key states that come up every year: South Carolina and Iowa. These are two of the biggest states talked about. Let's look at South Carolina. The reason I want to look at South Carolina is for a few different reasons. One, Nikki Haley, former governor of South Carolina. She's sitting at, as of national research was, these polls are a little old, but they still kind of give a general idea. 10%, 15%, 19%, 18%. She can't crack 20%. Trump has cracked 40%, three different times of this, in three different polls. One poll has him only at 38%, but of course, you have to take into account margin of error and kind of the sample sizes and stuff. And you look at all of these other polls, even from earlier months. Like you have polls for 2023 had Trump up, or I'm sorry, polls from earlier in 2023. For some reason, I thought it was 2024. No, we're not there yet. But all of these polls, all of them have Trump up, except one poll that has DeSantis up. You can throw that one out because obviously that's that poll's wrong. If I had to guess, looking at the trends of all of the other polls. And so looking at Iowa, it's interesting. Considering Nikki Haley was the former governor, you think that because, she was the governor and she was an, UN ambassador, that maybe she'd be doing well in the state of South Carolina. Well, for one, she was not a good UN ambassador, and two, she was really not that great of a governor. So people from South Carolina are like, well, you're really not that good. Why should we vote for you in the general election? And her whole thing is, we need younger people, or whatever, when her first ad came out. And she's just not a good candidate. A lot of people are like, well, Nikki Haley for vice president, or whoever for vice president, or like Kristi Noem for vice president. I'm like, no, these candidates aren't good candidates. They're just not good candidates. And we look at the Iowa Republican primary, and we could see that can't say all, but most of the polling is the same as South Carolina. Not in terms of like the actual numbers, but in terms of the patterns that we see. We could see that. I mean, Trump's getting over 50% in these states, 62% in one poll coming out of Emerson College, who puts out polls pretty regularly. 62%. DeSantis is sitting at 20%. Nikki Haley, for example, 24% back in April. Now, 4%. And in these other two polls, there's literally not enough data to actually print out a number. It's Donald Trump, Tim Scott, Mike Pence, and Ron DeSantis, and that's actually another thing I want to bring up. Senator Tim Scott, people are like, he's a senator. Yeah, but he's not that good of a senator. He's a rhino. And so people from South Carolina are going to look at that and go, yeah, I don't want to vote for Tim Scott. He's not all that great. I don't want to vote for Nikki Haley. She's also not all that great. And so you have all of these polls, 51%, 60%, 49%, 54, another 62%, all coming out of these key states. And so we're looking at everything, and now probably some of you guys are wondering, well, why aren't you talking about Chris Christie? There's no reason to. I don't know why he's in the race. He's not going to win. I mean, people have made jokes. I mean, I'm not going to make any jokes because that's not what this video is about. But when we're taking a look at all of this data, the GOP has to back up a single candidate. They can't have a split party, because if you have a split party, your chances of losing the general election are even greater. Because you have to have a united party to be the most successful you can be. And all of this kind of goes back to people in Florida. From what I understand, and you can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, people in Florida aren't super happy with DeSantis, not because of what he's done in Florida, but because people figured, hey, we're going to vote for him, he's going to serve his full term. But now he's opting out of that term to go run for president. People are like, well, why would we have voted for you if you were going to leave us anyways? That's that's one of the biggest things, and so that's also why he's not doing as well as he should be in the state. Like when it comes to polling in Florida, I'm not going to look at polling today because this video is already running pretty long, and I don't want to make these videos too long. And so when we're kind of just taking everything into account, I'm a Trump supporter. I'm going to vote for Trump. I think if he makes it to the general election, I think he's going to win. I think his message is super clear. I think he has a clear vision of what he wants done for the country. I think he is a phenomenal candidate. I think he's become a lot more professional. I think he's become a lot more humbled. I think he has a really good chance at winning the 2024 presidential election, let alone being able to turn this country around, because this country is going downhill really quick. Trump has to weed out the swamp. There's so much work that needs to be done. But if Trump was able to do it in 2016, he'll be able to do it again in 2024. And I genuinely believe that he is the best option that we have for president. And I do believe he will make a good president. Who he's going to pick as his vice president, I am very curious. I am not sure who he's going to pick as his vice president. So let me know in the comment section below who you think he's going to pick, because there's a number of candidates he could pick. But anyways, so that's going to be it for today's video, guys. If you guys did enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let me know kind of what are your thoughts on each of these candidates. Do you think I'm underestimating DeSantis? Do you think I'm overestimating Trump? Kind of let me know. Let me know who do you think is going to be vice president. And I did make a couple AI voice videos that I think are kind of funny. So if you guys want to go check those out, I will leave one of them in the top right hand corner. And be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe. And thank you guys so much for watching. And stay tuned for more political content coming your guys' way.